Welcome to the Curve movement. This isn't therapy, it isn't a sermon, it isn't self help. It's a place to slow down long enough to notice what life has been trying to show us all along. Every conversation begins with observation. Today's observation is this: survival isn't the destination. We've celebrated survival so much that we stop asking what comes after it. Everybody applauds the comeback. Few people ask about the recovery. See, surviving something only proves you made it through. It doesn't prove you made peace with it. Some of us survive difficult childhoods. Some survive abandonment. Some survive rejection. Some survive divorce. Some survive addiction. Some survive financial hardship. Some survive grief. Some survive being the person everyone depended on. But surviving isn't the same as becoming whole. There are two different journeys. They are two different journeys. Here, here's what I've noticed. Life teaches us how to survive emergencies. It doesn't automatically teach us how to stop living like emergency is still happening. Think about that. How many people finally escape the situation, but never escape the mindset? The address changed, the fear didn't, the relationship ended, the distrust stayed, the job changed, the exhaustion followed, the storm passed, yet the body kept preparing for rain. Maybe that's why we need the curb, not to stop moving, just to step out of life's traffic long enough to notice what we're still carrying. And maybe that's why peace feels unfamiliar to so many people. Not because they don't want it, because they became fluent in survival. Survival has its own language. Always be ready. Always expect the worst. Always have an exit plan. Always stay guarded. Always carry more than you need. Those instincts may have protected you once, but what protects you in one season can quietly imprison you in another. Here's a controversial thought. Some people aren't addicted to chaos, they're addicted to familiarity. If struggle has been your normal for years, peace can feel suspicious, calm feels unfamiliar, and rest feels irresponsible, and joy feels temporary. So, without realizing it, we recreate environments that match the version of ourselves we already know. Not because we enjoy suffering, because certainty often feels safer than change. The that's worth sitting with because you can't change a pattern you've never noticed. And noticing is where movements begin. Here's another observation. We've confused productivity with healing. We've convinced ourselves that if we're busy enough, successful enough, helpful enough, available enough, we won't have to face what's been asking for our attention. Sometimes work becomes a hiding place. Sometimes constant motion becomes one too. Sometimes achievement becomes camouflage. Sometimes being needed by everyone else becomes the perfect excuse to never ask yourself, how are you how are you really doing? The calendar fills up, the heart stays neglected. Being productive doesn't automatically mean you're present. Being accomplished doesn't automatically mean you're free. Busyness can become another way to avoid ourselves. So here's a question. When was the last time you sat in silence, not to escape, not to perform, not to create, but simply to observe yourself? No phone, no music, no notification, no distraction, just you. Some people, silence feel uncomfortable, not because silence is dangerous, because silence introduces conversations we've postponed. It has a way of asking questions we keep outrunning. Questions like, what am I still carrying? What am I pretending doesn't affect me? What version of myself am I protecting and why? I've learned something about backpacks. If you carry one long enough, eventually Your shoulders will stop complaining. The weight doesn't disappear. You simply adapt. People do the same thing emotionally. We adapt to anxiety. We adapted to disappointment. We adapted to loneliness. We adapted to emotional distance. We adapted to constantly expecting the worst. Then someone asks if we're okay. And we answer, I'm used to it. But getting used to it, to something, doesn't make it healthy. It only makes it familiar. That's another pattern I notice. People often build an identity around what helped them survive. The strong one, the independent one, the fixer, the one who never asked for help. Those identities may have carried you through difficult seasons. Honor that. But don't confuse survival tools with permanent identity. A life jacket is designed to keep you alive in deep water. It's not designed to be worn for the rest of your life. The same is true for emotional survival. Some of the habits that protected you yesterday may be limiting you today. That's not failure. That's growth asking for an update. So maybe the question isn't, what did I survive? Maybe the better question is, what have I continued carrying that only makes sense while I was surviving? Because survival teaches reaction, and reflection teaches understanding, and reaction keep you alive. Understanding teaches you how to live. There's a difference. And if we're honest, many of us have mastered surviving while postponing understanding. Here's something else to consider. Healing isn't about pretending the past never happened. It's about refusing to let the past become the architect of every decision you make today. You can remember without remaining there. You can acknowledge without becoming trapped. You can honor what shaped you without allowing it to define you forever. That's not forgetting. That's freedom. Around here, we don't end with conclusions. We end with observations. That's why every conversation closes with what I call the Curb Audit. Not answers, questions. Because questions have a way of revealing what information alone never can. Ask yourself, what am I still carrying that I no longer need? What survival habits have quietly become a limitation? What version of myself have I outgrown but continue protecting because it's familiar? And finally, if surviving got me here, who am I becoming now that I'm no longer living in the emergency? Don't rush to answer. Sit with them. Journal them. Talk through them with someone you trust, or simply let them stay with you throughout the day. Because awareness doesn't demand immediate answers. It simply asks for honesty. Before you move on with your day, remember this. Survival may have brought you this far, but it was never meant to become your permanent address. This has been the Curve Movement. Observe your patterns, question your assumptions, make room for better questions, and before tomorrow arrives, ask yourself one thing. What's sitting on your curve that has no business moving into your next season? I'll meet you back at the curb.